My girlfriend Marie and I planned a short weekend getaway at my family's summer house. It was September. We were far from the other houses, but we had electricity, water, basically everything. The house was very small, but it was enough for us. It had a bedroom, a living room, a bathroom, and a cute little kitchen. Although it was outside the city, there were nice activity areas where we could surf, ride horses, and spend our time. We were going to go to the summer house on Friday evening and return on Sunday evening. This vacation would be good for both of us. We arrived home at around 7 p.m. on Friday, unpacked our belongings. My girlfriend prepared a nice meal. After eating our meal, we went shopping. Then we returned home and had a good rest. We woke up early on Saturday morning, surfed, rode horses, and took a nice walk on the beach. It was 4 p.m. when the weather suddenly started to turn bad. When I checked the weather forecast on my mobile phone, I saw that a severe storm was expected. The wind was up. It was obvious that the storm was approaching. This unexpected storm had turned our vacation plans upside down. But there was nothing we could do. We went back home, had dinner, and put on a nice movie on my MacBook. It started to rain while we were watching the movie. Even though the doors and windows were closed, the sound of the rain could be heard. This actually created a romantic atmosphere. The thunder increased in intensity as the movie ended, and the storm had arrived in earnest. Marie and I went under the porch. The lightning strikes were creating a visual feast in the sky. There was a small forest area in front of the house. Suddenly, we started to hear sounds from the forest. It was a different sound. We couldn't understand exactly what it was because of the storm. The distance between the house and the forest area was quite far. I asked my girlfriend, "Can you make out what it was?" She said she heard a sound, but she didn't know what it was. It could have been someone out for a walk. Maybe he had gotten lost in the storm. I walked to the end of the porch, and the rain started to soak me with the wind. I couldn't see far because of the rain. Only when the lightning struck did the things I saw become clear. There was a silhouette in the woods. I could see it clearly. When I told my girlfriend, Marie, about it, she got a little angry because she thought I was joking. She doesn't like jokes like that. Someone might need help. But I was a little hesitant to go up to the person I saw and ask if he needed help, because our house was far from the other houses and I was afraid something might happen to us. The best thing was to follow him from a distance and wait. I didn't want Marie to worry. I didn't want to ruin her weekend. It was obvious that she was very scared anyway. It could be a lost hiker, I said to calm her down. Maybe it really was. I didn't know who the person was either. "Does he need help?" she asked. "Let's go inside. If he needs help, he'll come," I said. If he needed help, we were the only option because the other houses were far away. I kept looking out the window. I wondered what he was going to do. He started to approach our house. I could see him more clearly now. Since it was dark, I could only see a silhouette. It was about 15 feet away. I could see her clearly when the lightning struck. He was wearing a raincoat, looking directly at the window without moving. I was starting to get scared, even though I didn't want to show it to Marie. He just stood there motionless. His situation scared me a lot. I locked the door of the house. My panic scared Marie, too. "What happened?" she asked. "It's nothing," I said. I didn't want to scare my girlfriend, but I could feel my heart rate rising. Every time I looked, I could see that she was very scared, too. I did everything I could to calm her down. "Isn't he still out there?" she said. I couldn't lie anymore. "He's probably a hiker who got lost in the storm," I said. I told him we would help him if he knocked on our door for help. We listened to the storm and rain for half an hour. It was the most stressful half hour of my life. Suddenly we heard footsteps coming from the porch. Was he knocking on our door asking for help, or was he someone who wanted to hurt us? The voices continued to come from outside the door. My anxiety began to grow. I approached the door and called out, "Who are you?" But no one answered. The voices stopped for a moment. I told Marie to go into the bedroom, but she didn't want to leave me alone. I approached the window, afraid to look out. When I looked out, I saw the person in the raincoat standing under the porch. I told Marie to call the police. Marie whispered, "The police are on their way." I approached the door again and called out, "What do you want from us?" But he didn't answer. I looked out the kitchen window to see him more clearly. I suddenly caught her eye. "Get out of here," I shouted. He just stared at me without moving. He had a scary smile. He didn't say anything. I stepped back in fear. Marie was very scared. She was hugging me. Suddenly, a very loud noise came from the bedroom. The window glass had probably broken. We didn't know if he was going to come in or if he was just trying to scare us. When I looked out the kitchen window, I couldn't see her. I grabbed the first knife I could find from the kitchen. If he came in, we had to defend ourselves. Marie looked at me with fearful eyes. "What are we going to do?" she asked, her voice trembling with fear. "We'll wait for the police to come. If he comes in and tries to hurt us, she'll know what kind of trouble she's in." "Don't be afraid," I said to calm Marie down. I tried to look brave, but I was very scared. The noises stopped for a moment. Our fearful wait lasted 15 minutes. The police arrived. We went out immediately and told the police what had happened to us. The police searched the area for about half an hour, but there was no sign of the man we had seen. I don't know if someone was trying to prank us, or if he really wanted to hurt us. All I know is that we were very scared that day. I don't really know what that man wanted from us. I can't think of a logical reason. Before the police left, we packed up our things and left. We never went back to that summer house. In fact, my family decided to sell the house after hearing what had happened to us. I was 15 years old when this incident happened. My family was out of town, so I was home alone. I actually like being alone. It gives me great freedom. When my family is home, I feel pressured. I want to play PlayStation, but they won't let me. They keep telling me I have to study. But my family wasn't home at the moment, so I could play PlayStation as much as I wanted. I had dinner. A storm had started outside. I watched the storm from the kitchen window. I love storms. I think they are a wonderful natural phenomenon. Watching the tree branches swaying in the wind gives me peace. After watching the storm for a while, I sent a message to my friends. "I'm ready to play a game. I'm waiting to hear from you." Within 20 minutes, the whole team was together. We were going to play Battlefield online. We started the game, and there was no one to interrupt my game. We were developing our own tactics, having fun playing the game. I was immersed in the game. At that moment, the doorbell rang. There was a storm outside. Who could have come? It couldn't have been my family, because they had the house key with them. I told my friends, "The doorbell rang. I'll look at the door and come back." I hid in a corner somewhere. Don't let me die. Protect me. I walked towards the door. I called out, "Who is it?" But no one answered. I looked outside through the door window. There was no one in sight. My curiosity got the better of me. I opened the door and looked outside, but I couldn't see anyone. I thought the sound I heard was from the wind. I went back to my room. I continued the game where I left off. We were playing very well. We were winning most of the games we played. Freedom is an amazing feeling, I said to myself. Not much time had passed. I heard the back door open. I took out my headphones. I thought I might have heard wrong, but I was wrong. I could hear footsteps coming from inside the house. When I walked towards my room door, I saw a shadow moving inside the house. I was completely sure now. There was someone in my house. I slowly closed my room door without making a sound and locked it. I could tell that the person inside the house was going through the rooms because of the door sounds coming from the rooms. The sounds were getting closer to my room. I looked for my phone to call the police, but I couldn't find it. I must have left it in the kitchen while eating. I put on my headphones and whispered to my friends that someone was home. At first, they didn't believe me. I explained the seriousness of the situation to my friends. Call the police immediately. Give the police my address, I said. I was looking at the door carefully. I was very scared. The doorknob of my room was moving slowly. Whoever was in my house was trying to enter my room. I called the police. Leave me alone, I shouted. I thought he would get scared when he heard that I called the police, but I was wrong. He started to push the door harder. I didn't know what to do because I was scared. I had to do something. It was only a matter of time before the man entered my room. I slowly opened the window of my room. I wanted him to think I was still home. Otherwise, he might come after me. I ran straight to our next-door neighbor's house. I had known our neighbor Eleanor since I was a child. I kept looking back, afraid that the man in my house would follow me and catch me. I knocked on my neighbor's door loudly. I could hear the sound of the television from inside, but no one answered the door. I kept looking around, thinking that the man who had entered my house would come after me. Finally, my neighbor Eleanor opened the door. I went straight inside without asking if she was available. Eleanor looked at me in surprise. I told her what I had experienced. I told her that someone was in my house. We called the police immediately. The police were on their way anyway. My friends had called the police before me. I was watching the street where my house was located from the window. I was trying to figure out if whoever was in my house was following me. Then the police arrived. I waited for about 10 minutes in excitement for the police to leave my house. I was praying to myself, please let him be caught. They left my house with a man in handcuffs. The man said that he had no bad intentions, that he was homeless, and that he had entered my house to protect himself from the storm. I told my family about the situation. Since they were out of town, it would take them a long time to get home. That night I stayed with my neighbor Eleanor. In the morning, my family came. I felt safe because my family was with me. A few weeks later, I heard that the man who had broken into our house had been arrested. Would he come back when he was released, or was it just a coincidence that he had broken into our house? These thoughts haunted me for a long time. Even now, when the doorbell rings at night, I still remember the fearful moments. The only thing that comforts me is the thought that the man who broke into our house could really be telling the truth. I used to think that scary things would usually happen in movies. I could never have guessed that something like this would happen to me. I loved watching horror movies. In fact, they were the only kind I watched. I still watch them from time to time. But after this incident, the movies I watched scare me even more. It was late at night. I think it was around 2 in the morning. Everyone in the house was asleep. My mom, dad, and little bro. When I looked out the window of my room, I saw a big storm approaching. I could hear the wind and the rain hitting my room window. I have always been afraid of storms. So I got out of bed and pulled the curtains to my window. I love the sound of rain, but I am very afraid of thunder. The deafening sound of thunder scares me for some reason. So I put on my headphones, opened a video on YouTube, and started watching it. The storm that night was very strong. It felt like stones were hitting my window instead of raindrops. Even though the curtains in my room were closed, every time lightning struck, my room lit up like daylight. So I turned on the light in my room so that I wouldn't be scared. The storm tonight was really bad. I tried to focus on the YouTube video so my fear would go away a little. Suddenly, the electricity went out. Nothing could have been worse for me tonight. I was already afraid of thunder, and on top of that, the electricity had gone out. Luckily, my phone battery was still at 81%. After watching some more YouTube videos, I decided to go to sleep. The storm was getting worse. I actually liked the sound of rain. I was just afraid of thunder. I tried to fall asleep listening to the sound of rain, but the sound of thunder kept me from falling asleep. I kept tossing and turning in bed until I finally managed to fall asleep. I woke up to go to the bathroom that night. The electricity still hadn't come back on because the light in my room wasn't on. I took my phone from my bed and turned on the flashlight. As I was walking down the hallway, I heard noise. It was a strong wind. The house was also a little cold. As I passed by the kitchen, I noticed that the window was open. Rainwater had gotten inside, so I quickly closed the window. I was a little cold. The situation scared me a little. I was starting to get scared because I don't remember our kitchen window being open at night. My mother was especially careful about such things. I guess this time my mother had forgotten to close the window after secretly smoking. When I finished my work and went back to my room, I felt like my heart was going to stop when I saw something in the hallway. I saw a shadow. It looked like a person. When I pointed my phone flashlight at it, the things I saw became even clearer. There was a man in our house. He had a beard and a scary face. As soon as I saw the man, I screamed, "Dad!" My dad came out of the bedroom in fear and came to me. At that moment, we could hear the man's footsteps as he ran away. He ran out of the back door of the house towards the garden. Although my dad chased that scary man for a while, he couldn't catch him. We called the police, but since there was no security camera in our house, we couldn't get much results. The only thing I could guess was that this man was a thief. Since there was a storm and the electricity was out, he took advantage of this and entered through the open kitchen window. I really don't know what his intentions were. Was his purpose to take a valuable item from the house and get away, or was it to harm us? I don't even want to think about the second option. After the incident, we installed security cameras in our house and garden. No matter how safe the area you live in is, you can encounter such events at a time you never expect. Although the probability of encountering such events is low, it is always necessary to take precautions.